Yeah, it's like basically went up the Nile River and it was weird. I was going somewhere else and I heard ocean and or water or the cloud texture and I went up the Nile River and I saw nothing but jungle and I'm in Egypt.
Okay.
But it's not the Egypt of our history. This is like a million years ago. It seems like
What do you see?
the place is just a massive jungle, and then of course there's your pyramids. But I really don't see any desert. It's just a massive jungle.
Okay.
And it was just I was kind of surprised to see UFOs flying around.
See what?
UFO type thing
Oh,
flying around.
okay. All right.
They fly around like like cars fly around. It's just a completely different. And you I'm a higher dimensional being, so it's I don't see reality like we see reality. I can see all the energy in the air and all around us, and how everything, all the pyramids are connected and creating an energy grid around the whole place. I don't really see a sky that you would see. It's just energy. There's just everything is just massive energy. It's just igniting. I imagine maybe the humans see something different, but I don't.
And what did you say you were?
Mm, I don't really have a name like I can think of. I don't. Sirius would be the first thing that came to my mind, but you know, we came here to colonize the place, and there's no slave human race. Um, there are humans that live here, but
Okay. You know what planet you came from?
no, no, just
Does your group have a name?
I'm not big on names. I can't think of a name, but basically we just came here to colonize the place and to make it a better Earth. I wonder if it's that story.
Oh, so what all did y'all do to make it a better Earth?
We built the pyramids, and but we just built them with our minds. You just move blocks with your mind. It's, you don't use tools or anything. Everything's energy. And you just move everything with energy, and it's just a thought process. And um, you just make it come into existence. And um, the pyramids were designed for the lower dimensional beings to. Um, because the planet was in its infancy and it needed. We wanted to make it a better place. Um, make it a higher dimensional Earth. It was a lower vibrational. It was in its infancy. When planets are first formed, they're in a lower infancy. So our group, we come and we raise the vibrational frequency of planets. In this case, um, this human species, we decided to create a construct of these pyramids all over the Earth in order to energetically connect everything, like antennas going from the center of Earth all the way up and around, just creating a huge energy field all over the Earth, and then that way it interacts with all life, and the humans could even tap into it and be similar to us. They could be telepathic and they could actually communicate with the animals, and um, it was much more peace and harmony, and it changed their behavior. The human had a construct where it wouldn't evolve as a animal. It could, per se, it could be more enlightened and have more self-awareness and connect with us in the universe and understand what the universe is about. And then it could, since they're at a vibrational frequency, then higher advanced souls could come into them and experience this place as well. So it's millions of years ago, millions. Oh, the pyramids are so old. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny to see UFOs flying around everywhere.
It's kind of funny. What?
It's funny to see UFOs flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
It's different.
kind of a super highway.
Yeah.
But they have their own highways because we don't want them interacting with the energy, so it's kind of funny.
Okay.
So,
Actually, I think they still do. Humans aren't able to see it. Is that true or not? You think?
well, yeah, they do, but this place is completely different.
How long were you on Earth doing this? Do you know?
I don't really remember being in a body. This is more my energy form.
Okay.
So with the group, we go around and create places, and we created this, helped to create this place, and there's many of us that do it, and created a wonderful place.
Yeah, you really did. You really did.
Well, until we left and to go do something else,
Okay.
and it got taken over.
So you were just an energy form at the. You didn't have like a human body or anything.
No, it's an essence of my higher self. There's my higher self, and then there's this essence of my higher self. This think of it as like there's God, and then there's your higher self, and then there's a human. So there's different expressions of ourselves, and this is just one expression of my higher self. That's what he does.
Okay. Anything else you think we would be interested in knowing about what was going on at that time?
Well, he's Byron's listening, obviously, and he's just interested. He wasn't aware of how he could break off from the higher self, and he's been perplexed at what he's been learning in his own sessions, and how he was upset that I told him this is the higher, we're pretty much the higher self now. The higher self, in his first session, said that he isn't always with Byron, and Byron got extremely offended about that, and he couldn't understand it. So the higher self wants to apologize at this time for saying that. But now he understands the relationship between the biological unit, the soul, the spirit, the higher self, and true source God creator. And then from my higher self breaks off into different branches. So there's an essence of him that he's attached to that went around creating, and that also perplexed him because he had a session not too long ago where the person knew him and described this event we're talking about, and this is why we took him to this event, because he was really really confused. He's like, "What do you mean I helped create this place?" Because in his session he went directly to me, to the true higher self, and when he woke up in 1995, he went directly to me, and he only had those memories. He didn't. We didn't allow him any other memories at that time. It wasn't necessary. It wouldn't have hurt him. In other words, it would have hurt you, Byron. So the information you had access to, you weren't supposed to have access to. You woke up too early, but that's okay. You're getting along fine now. But now we're letting you, since the events are coming to a conclusion, we're letting you know more of who you are and the other aspects of yourself. And this is an aspect of yourself, and that's what Elaine was talking about, how you helped create this place. And this perplexed Byron immensely because he doesn't view himself that way at all, because that's not Byron. So he helps, Elaine knew him and knew that they helped create this place together. And he was very surprised because she told the story so accurately, and he does know the story. He knows it in essence, and he said it before, but he said it in a third person, being distant from the story, describing like an event that had occurred in history, and he thought he was just tapping into this information and tapping into the story. But no, it was actually a story that he knows, that he was there. He was actually there and helped create the place with Elaine, and human form Elaine and others. And we left. As he tells the story, he tells the story as when God wasn't looking, but it was more us, which goes against the Christian religions and belief systems that they want you to believe that God did everything. But no, there's many many beings, and we are just one group of many that go around creating places. He's familiar with this founder race. He's not familiar with that because he knows nothing about the founder race. There's a founder race as well. Those folks are very, 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 very far, far, far away. Um, so we don't want to talk about them at this time. But they're there. And now Byron's asking, did the founder race have a. Let's not go there, Byron. Just relax. So this, sticking to the story, he is an aspect of him more probably related. It's too hard to. He wants to get logical now. Let's relax for a minute. Don't get logical, Byron. Just feel the story. Just feel the story and feel. So there's an aspect of you that creates these places, and you help create this place. And as you know, you tell the story as God wasn't looking, but it was us. We were the ones that weren't looking. You, I, and the others. And you went off to go create another place, and you all left. And you all thought the place would be fine, and why wouldn't you? And then the invasion took place. That seems about around 65 million years ago, maybe. And the invasion took place, and this place got completely taken over, and it's gone through many different dimensional shifts to different. It's bounced around realities. It's gone from higher to lower dimensions, and you hear these stories, Lemora and Atlantis and all that stuff, and they're all true, and those are just different aspects and phases of the different realities that this Earth has had, and this Earth is just, it's very convoluted in human terms. It's in some ways beyond comprehension because of all the things that this place has gone through, and all the different vibrational waves, and the different chapters in a book is a good way of describing it. All the different chapters. There's been so many chapters, and there's been so many books. It could fill the Vatican Library, as you say. I mean, it's the stories that have come out of this place are just. It's like it feels as though it's a never-ending story. But we now know the stories are beginning to end, and they're coming to the conclusion. But there's too many stories to be told. The history of this place is so old. This place is more than billions of years old, as humans like to say it is. It's far older than that. Even if you want to say this planet came from some other planet, it carries the stories from that place to this place, and the stories continue. And this place it's just had some wonderful stories and some beautiful times. But unfortunately, those came in. They came in through a sliver. If you can look to the right there, Byron, I'm giving you an image of how they came in. I can't describe it in human words. They came in through that sliver right there, and you see the sparkling little energy off to the right, and it came through in a sliver. And I can't describe it in human words. We can't say interdimensional. We cannot use any of the human words that you speak of. We can't even say it popped in, although that may be the closest. But this energy came in, and it popped in, and then it created a tunnel, and it leaked in here. And now you see where they came from, don't you? Let's see here. So that place where they came in from is where we can throw them back out. So there's these stories about how this place is going to be quarantined and all that. Yeah, you could say it's going to be quarantined just so we can throw them out through that little sliver and throw them back to where they belong. And we're simply going to throw them back into the universe where they belong and return them to where they came from. So we've identified all of them, and we're going to gather them all up, and we're going to pull them out. And it'd be nice if they gently go, but most of them will gently go, and they'll be blasted out of here. So that's how the event will occur eventually. And of course, there are those that are going to leave as well.
What's going to leave?
Many people are already phase shifting out. The humans call it leaving this place, but in reality, there is no space or time. They don't leave. They don't go anywhere. They just phase shift from one place to the next. And many are just going to phase shift out of here. They'll just align themselves to a different frequency, like turning a radio station dial, and they're just going to turn the dial. If you can tell, we're just going through Byron's questions because I made a promise to him ahead of time that I would just tell him what he wants to know, and then if there's anything we leave out, we can talk about those mundane things. My apologies, Byron, but your questions are mundane to us.
Okay.
things like, he wants to know about like Lindsay and Brian and all those little things. And I don't know how to say this with love and without you to be offended, Byron, but it doesn't matter. Um, Kind of like your client who talked about how all surgical implants, his foot shattered, and he has bolts and screws and plates, and all surgical implants on this planet are inscribed with a higher dimensional inscription. That is what you call dynamic, and it's a dynamic spell, and it's used for lower dimensional beings to attach themselves to it. And that person's higher self was correct when they said you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. He's worried about attachments, but as they get attached to him, I simply remove them. Every time he does a qhht session, and he knows this, he even thought about himself. He's like, do I really need to write down this harmonics technique to be done to myself? And because every time he does it to himself as he works with his clients. So he's constantly cleansing and healing himself. And as far as his body, I'm going to keep it alive and going. No matter how much you mess it up, I keep it going. Because I need you here. I made a mistake of saying you're a... What was the words I used for you? A bug? No, I said little helper. That's right. I called you my little helper, and you go through life in the muck and experience things, and then I learn from you is basically what I said. But it goes more than that. I come through you and learn through you, and also express the higher dimensions through you out into this reality. There's many times you don't even know it's happening, but you have agreed, this biological unit, the soul, the spirit, everything has agreed to be a conduit of energy to flow through. Yes, Byron, I'm allowed to say this. He's worried. He's about to give away some secret information, but no, we're safe. I can tell you. Byron has as you say, this DNA thing that goes through you. He has a dimensional portal tunnel that goes through him, and constant energy from the great beyond from great outside this universe. You call it God. Flows through here and into this place, and it's constantly energizing and bathing it. And there's many of those that are doing it, and we're just we trickle down. We trickle down energy. It's true you have worked with these species as Byron, these species and higher self and spirit, and all of these species are around this place. This place is completely surrounded by these orbs that people take photographs of, and they all have been educated on uh, more so. They're already familiar with energy, but we have given them advanced lessons on energy, and we've listened to them on their ideas on how to bring the energy into the physical. Because these energies are just so high, they just, we said before, they flow right through here and nobody picks up on it. It's like the old joke of 747 just flew over your head and you didn't know it. You know, but we've been doing this we've returned. We were gone for a long time. We've returned, and the call has been made around the 90s. Corey Good calls him the Spear Being Alliance. He's kind of accurate, but it goes so much more beyond that. It's kind of funny how he just tries to describe it every way, but to everybody, he tells an interesting story. We don't have a problem with that. We don't want to go into that, but it's, with a true story, Byron, the real story, who these beings really are. And they did come because he threw out the call. He sung the harmonic frequency when he woke up in 1995, and they heard the call, and then others heard the call. So he is actually, as Byron woke up and sung the harmonic frequency, it was heard throughout the universe, and everybody came because of that. And then there were distress calls that were heard, but actually the reason everyone is here is because you sung the harmonic frequency. And everybody went, oh my gosh, what is that? And they thought it was God or something, and they all come running here. And at the same time, there was a distress call mates, and then that group was coming. They're more tinker ships, as we call them, lower advanced technology to humans, but it's lower technology. So they came here, and they're here as well. We don't know what to do with them. They're not much use to us, really. They're trying to help, but the tinker ships are interesting. We don't mean to insult them if they're listening. Hopefully they're not. Um, but we just don't know how to interact with them. They can't. They don't have the technology to handle these high frequencies and energies, and they to what we call, in human words, if you were like a scientist trying to create an experiment and manipulate and throw it down here, they don't have that technology. They do understand energy and power and stuff like that, but we're getting too complicated. Everything's too complicated for them. They're too logical, and they need their Tinker toys, and human words need to run things through computers and this and that, and it doesn't work that way. This is at such a much higher dimensional level. It's so far beyond human words, how the universe works, because it's just so advanced. But these 10 dimensional above orbs and ships do have the power to. They do have the know-how, because it's not a technology. It's a knowing, and it's a feeling, and you just do it, kind of thing. Kind of like you don't have to make something. You just will it into existence. You can say chair, and chair falls out of your mouth, and no one knows how that chair fell out of your mouth. It's that we don't use any kind of technology. That's why the tinker ships are not of much use to us. But there's a lot of benevolent tinker ships that are here, floating around trying to help, and they've had little battles and little wars, and they kind of beat each other up. It's not as bad as Patty Bessard person says it is, but they've had battles. But anyway, back to the point. The point is, so the energy is coming in here, and we're trickling it down, and so all this is true, and all the missions that he did in the past, he went around. Byron has a group and of humans that are advanced beings, and their spirit, their higher selves are, and they caught on. Brian helped them, and yes, you can trust them. Don't worry about Steve and all that crap. But Brian triggered memories in Byron, and he went, "Oh my gosh, we can do this. This is like we can do it for real." And so what they did was not anticipated. It was not planned. It was not expected. It was just spontaneous, and that's one of the beautiful things is the creativity. Um, he was very logical, and he can create now, and he just created this way of doing things. Alexander makes fun of him because he tends to be very logical and wants to do everything in physics forms, and he loves geometry and geometric patterns, and they're a wonderful tool in a way to help him believe that he's doing what he's doing. In reality, I don't know how to say this right either. Don't get offended, but it's a tool, Byron, and that's what Alexander's trying to point out to you. It's a tool, and you woke her up to who she is and how you can just do things with your mind and you just create. So, listening to Brian and using his physics, as he says, he was able to, with his group. Um, there's something about him and our energy, and it just wakes people up. And he says things with such conviction, and people believe him, and then people just follow him and go along with him. He's a wonderful leader. And so he told everybody how to do it, and we went, and we and him, and we all went along, and we healed all the planets, and we healed the moon, and we shut down this technology from Saturn and Moon, and he made many videos on it explaining what he did and how he helped heal this solar system, as you say. Um, and all that's real, and it's all true. He wants to know if there's still missions for him to do, and the answer is he doesn't have to, but if there's something he finds he wants to do, and if he wants to join in, he may, but it's not a necessity. He can relax, and um, he's already done so much, and he's constantly doing stuff every moment, every day. Even at night, he had questions about what happens to him at night. Um, this artificial intelligence is perplexed at Byron and doesn't understand Byron and the soul and the spirit and this higher self thing. And the AI doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to handle him. So the AI comes in and while he sleeps a lot, and the AI thinks it's Byron doing it, um, and they only know how to go after Byron. That's astral. They call this astral body. It's an astral body, astral project. Yeah. So it's called an astral body. Um, the astral body is actually more physical than spiritual, is what people don't understand. So when they take this astral body, and others, they take this astral body out, and they're actually affecting more of the physical reality than the spiritual reality. And it has no bearing or effect on what we do out in the great beyond, and it doesn't. It just doesn't matter, as he found out one day, and he even laughed about it. You know.
He had a question. Oh, what happens to him at night when he's sleeping? So it's something on this order?
Yeah, so we're talking about that because, like, Brian is the one that actually alluded to him. Brian and Byron talk a lot, and they start having the same stories, the same things. Um, maybe we should address this question. Brian and Byron both discovered they were both taken to the year 20, was it 69, 79, some 20. It's 20, 39, 30, 30, 29, 30. Yeah, I can't. Sorry, Byron. I'm a higher self. I don't think in years. I can't. He knew the year in his dream. He pinpointed it and he told Brian. But anyway, they're taking about 3,000 years into the future. They both described New York to a T. They're both taken to this southward to this prison, as they say. It's the experiment. You know, he's correct. New York is a portal in the future, and that's why they take them through these portals. That's why they go through the same portal. Brian was perplexed because he's in Texas and Brian's close to New York. He's only an hour away from it, and he couldn't figure out why we both end up in New York. It's because of the portal there. In the future, it may not be so. That Mount Talk thing, no, it's not that. Byron, it's not that. Just don't worry about it. It's not a very strong energy signature at this time. It's very weak. But in the future, this New York portal becomes more and more open. It's time-space rift, if you want to call it that. And then, so it's easy for them to come through there. And then from there, they take them out of this to their experiment zone. And they run experiments in what is now New Jersey. And they're constantly messing with Byron and Brian, and trying to get them to stop working at night and stop working and doing things. But Brian's figured out, as you found out, it doesn't matter what they do to him. He's learned to just connect to his higher self and act like he's not there, and so he's connected to his higher self and doing the work. But the thing is that even if he didn't learn how to tune them all out, his higher self is still doing the work. All he's doing is becoming he's a partaker in it, and experiencing what his higher self is doing and being one with it. And it's more enjoyable for the human because the human experience is so miserable that it's nice to be able to interact with the higher selves. It helps the body to remember who it truly is and how it has a real purpose, and that life is not completely empty and meaningless. That's not all about pain and suffering. That we are significant and make a difference in reality, and we get to connect at night and do these things. And the AI thinks it's trying, by stopping us, these astral bodies, that it's stopping the higher selves, and it's not. And he even made a joke about it, that they're wasting all their time and energy. They're wasting these projects that these, as you call aliens, run in the AI, to take massive amount of manpower and energy and resources and time, and ironically, it's almost a good thing they do it, because they're just wasting so much resources that they can't even begin to focus on how to really stop us, and they don't know what they're doing anymore. They're just so lost, and they're so clueless, and they have no clue what reality is. Just because they came in here and they studied it and thought they understood it, and they did wonderful jobs in manipulating it. It's kind of like what you call them, carpenters or builders. Just because you can chop down a tree and have a saw and all this equipment, and make wood out of a tree, and hammers, and build this house and electricity, and just because you can build a house and do all this does not mean that you understand how to create a tree. You didn't create the tree, you manipulate it. You did not create electricity, you manipulate it. all they can do is manipulate and manipulate and manipulate. They can't create anything. They don't know how to create. And because they can't create, they can't begin to understand it. It's like a fish doesn't understand how a bird flies, and it doesn't even know the bird exists unless the birds, of course, that go down and eat the fish. But that's not meant to be a metaphor, a parable. That was not meant to be a joke. It was an accidental stumbling of words. That is not meant to be a joke or any significance. We like to recant, as we say. What's that legal word? We want to take that back about the bird dying in the water. We apologize for that. All right, we got distracted. Next question, please.
Okay. Let's see. I'll just start with this number one. If you've already answered, then tell us.
Yeah.
Brian knows about the Mandela effect and what his other clients have said about it. He would like for you to explain in your own words, even if it means repeating what has already been said.
I love how you worded that because we just did talk about it.
Well, I'm just going through it to make sure because
No,
I
it's
want
funny.
him to be happy with this session.
No, it's funny.
Okay.
No, so let's allude more. People describe different aspects of the Mandela effect. It's because they are different beings and they have different dimensional awarenesses, and from their place and their perspective, that's what's happening. For example, one person said it's like the Earth, like something like a true Earth is inside, and it's expanding. And then there's this other Earth on the surface. The Earth we live on is the surface, and inside the five-dimensional Earth. And as it expands, it's going through the surfaces and the shells, and it's like Earth melting and bending, which are timelines melting and bending, and then they're all raveling and becoming one eventually. And that description is very accurate for that type of description. There's also the Alexandra expression where the Earth was broken apart and it's being healed, and that's very accurate because she's telling it from a higher dimension and a different perspective. So, kind of like you have a black white movie, a color TV, you got a 3D movie, you got IMAX, you got flat screen TV, 1080, you got this, but they all show this. They all are showing the same show, but they all can show different qualities and different aspects, and you can pick up different things, and even black and white can have beauty in it as well. So they are all different ways of looking at reality and seeing the reality, and then the people are expressing the reality the way they can.
Okay, very good. All right, number two. Now we will begin with what Harmony calls soul harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
I started to type this up to teach.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna override that, Byron. And Byron, Byron come through. I'm in agreement too with that, by the way. We can skip this whole harmonics because I do it all the time.
Okay. Number three. We will begin by doing a head-to-toe examination of the biological unit,
Yeah.
the body, to see if there are any attachments. If the answer is yes, then I go one place, and if not, then I go.
Yeah. No, that's okay. We understand.
Does he have any attachments?
He gets them, and I remove them as they come in. He saw. He should have seen that. Sorry, Byron. Fine, he saw it. They come into him like water. In essence, they're constantly coming into him, and I'm constantly taking them out. So that water flow you see is them coming in, and then I immediately flush them out. So you almost have like a water system of flushing entities and AI and crap out of you because you're such a high dimensional being and you're tapped into everything in the universe. They see you and they want to check you out, and then I just throw them out. So if you can, Byron, forget that image because it's too frightening for you. Let's take a moment. He wasn't supposed to see that. He saw it by accident. You weren't supposed to see that. It's not. It's beyond human comprehension for you, Byron. And as Byron, the biological unit, saw that, you should not be concerned about it, or you should not worry about it. It's nothing for you to be concerned or worried about. It doesn't affect you. There, thank you, Byron. He's helping me out now. Think of it as something happening at a higher dimension that's not even affecting the physical, and it's just something over there that's not there. Now you separate it. Oh, you're good. He's really good. I like this guy. All right, you separated it. Thank you. And so it's separating, and it's over. There you go, Byron. It's just something that's happening over there, and it's there. You go. Okay. So you understand it's just something happening over there, and it's not to be a concern or worry about. So we can move on now.
Okay. Um, he says, focus on the pineal gland and bring in true source God creator. Bring it back to full life and health. You know how to.
Yeah, the pineal gland and everything is completely turned on. What's happening to Byron is he gets attacked constantly, and they're constantly throwing these false illusionary holographic images over him. So every time he goes to look at the pineal gland, they know he's about to look, and then they immediately throw like it's like a smoke and mirror routine. They immediately throw this dingy, ugly-looking, horrible stuff, and that he looks and he thinks that's what it is. But that's not what it is. It's a fake holographic imagery that they're constantly throwing over you. And it's also why you don't feel intuitively he knows this, because he gives a lot of advice. He sometimes he's like preaching to the choir, or he feels like he's not following his own advice sometimes. The reason he doesn't feel the need to meditate, for hours upon hours and to do all the work he does and to do the sediment chakra tune-ups and all this stuff and yada yada yada, which is very essential for majority of the population. It's because he's already evolved and he's already advanced and he's already past that. Yeah, I can tell you. You have a 12-strand DNA, Byron. You don't have this 2 or 3 or 6. No, you have the full 12-strand DNA. Everything's been turned on. Your entire brain has been completely activated, although you don't activate it all the time. Because perhaps there's aspects of this brain, if you were to have full access to, you do. But if you knew you did, if you fully accessed it, you might even become even more bored with this reality. This reality is very, very, very difficult for him because it's such a low vibrational frequency, and it's been so dumbed down, and it's like idiotic to him. So if he were to walk around with his brain fully on, he would be bored to tears here, so, as you say. Because the things he can do is the reality has not been set up yet. We have not brought in the right energy frequencies to, as you say, if you just create with your mind, if I could say chair and chair falls out of your mouth, it's not quite set up like that yet. It's going to be. Eventually it's going to take time, it's going to take years, but because we're not there yet, so it's kind of like, I think he knows what we mean. It's kind of like having an airplane and not being able to fly because there's no air yet. You need air for an airplane to fly. And you just be sitting at that airplane, looking at the airplane, going, God, I wish I could fly that airplane. Oh, I wish I could fly an airplane. I can't wait for air to come into existence so I can fly an airplane. It's kind of like that. So sometimes it's better not to know that the airplane's there for him. We're not speaking to the general population in case this ends up on YouTube and people hear. This is more specific to Byron alone, not to the general population. So next question.
Okay. It says, now focus on the entire brain, connect all the...
Oh yeah, we can skip all that harmonic stuff. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Number C, now I want you to focus on the heart.
Yeah, the heart, what's happening with the heart is massive amount of energy is flowing through him. And dimensions stuff. I don't know how to put it in words. There's a lot of dimension stuff and a lot of energy constantly just flowing through him. And the heart reacts to the energy fields. So as there's... I can stay hypnotized and pick that up actually.
Oh, is that your... Okay, let's just fill that. Wow, I don't know how that happened.
No, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things we were surprised about. Dolores Cannon said you could have a client get up and go to the bathroom and take sips of water and move around, and Byron found this hard to believe. But then it happened with his own clients. He had clients that had to go to the bathroom. They get to go to the bathroom, they come right back in. They're still completely under, and this is just perplexing to him. It's very perplexing, but that's just how it happens. It's more like it's once you're tuned in and once you're in the mode, and once we're aligned in the body and the energy is here, it just stays here until the session's over, and then there's the count out, and then energy leaving is a bad word, but you return back to normal. So this is how he's very logical and wants to understand things. So that's how it happens, Byron. And we lost our train of thought. We forgot what we were saying.
We were talking about the heart.
Oh yeah, this heart thing. Oh yeah. So it's another reason why his heart is so gigantic. His doctors are just they flip out when they see his heart on an X-ray. It's like two hearts. It's gigantic. It's just huge. He has this huge heart, and it's because the heart is such an electrical field and all the electricity and all the higher dimensions. The heart had to expand itself to handle all the higher electrical fields and all the higher dimensions. And at times he feels, if you feel anything, it's just that's the physical part of the heart that stays physical, and while the other part of the heart are the higher dimensions. And it's this interaction between the higher dimensions and the lower dimensions, and he doesn't know how to interpret this. And then, of course, the enemy, as we say, comes in and wants to tell him he's having a heart attack when he knows he's not. He'll be sitting in his chair, perfectly calm, relaxed, enjoying a good movie, having a good old time, and all of a sudden his heart will just start pounding. It's one of the reasons why he thought he was having panic attacks, and but they're not panic attacks. You're just experiencing the higher dimensions and the realities, and you know. And he wants to know about the triglycerides and all this stuff, and he doesn't need medications. The physical, he gets beat up every now and then. We don't always win every single battle. So right now they really want him to be, the enemy wants him to be on medication. And he came to the conclusion that he can go to a higher dimensional level and just heal himself, and he did. And he was on so many different medications, high blood pressure and triglyceride medicine and gout and this and that, and just he was on all kinds of medications. And he just ate straight a little better and exercised a little bit more, and meditate on it, and he just healed himself is what he did. And then he got off all his medications, and he didn't have a hard time for the longest time. But then he made a mistake one day. You just made a mistake, Byron. He went to what do you call that place? Burger King, and he had a Texas Double Whopper, and he ate beef, and he hadn't had beef in such a long time. And they set him up. They got him to go there, and they spiked his hamburger, as you say, and put some extra things in there, and it jacked him up completely. And it's been weeks now. We're still flushing the system out. As far as the toxins and all that, that's flushing out perfectly. That's all fine. It's just what they did to the beef. It's pretty nasty stuff. We can't. We're getting it out. That'll eventually come out, Byron. So just never eat beef again in your whole entire life. Just don't ever. And this goes for everybody. What they do to beef on this planet is atrocious. You might as well just be eating an interdimensional dynamic being in essence. They make jokes about there's human meat in McDonald's hamburgers, but it's far worse than that. We're not even going to tell you if there's human meat in it or not, but it's 10 times worse than that. The beef, the energy signature, the chemical structure, the biological structure, the way its DNA, the way it's structured, it has been what do you call it? Genetically engineered and modified to hold dynamic energy, evil energy, and you're eating evil is all you're doing. Beef is just horrendous. It's not been done so much to the other animals. I suppose if you could find one of these organic, what would they call cows that go out and eat grass all day long and were raised the way they're supposed to be raised.
Free range?
Free, whatever, yeah, that thing. That's fine, actually. You could eat that kind of beef. The problem is, how do you know it's that kind of beef and to trust it and everything? But the factory farming beef is just, don't ever eat factory farmed beef. It's just horrendous, But the other animals, they're messed with. The chickens are messed with, but it's, in comparison to beef, there's no comparison. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay. I think you probably answered this one already. Restoring the heart to full health.
Mm-hmm.
He's already taken care of that. Y'all have. Okay.
Yeah, it's never gonna feel normal because it beats so fast, and he's handling the higher dimensions and all the electricity. It's always gonna feel uncomfortable for the human body, and just be relaxed about it.
Okay. There's an energy flowing all over and around the body.
Yeah, that's the end of the soul harmonics technique.
Okay. Now I'd like you to go inside and read the DNA code of this
Oh yeah, we
guy.
talked about that. He
You
actually
already
has,
did that?
yeah, he has 12 strand. Yeah, it's funny he got jealous because he's helping clients raise some the third, some six, some 12 strand DNA. And it's funny he's jealous. But now he has 12 strand DNA.
Okay. Let's see. And I think this is already the answer. Go through the entire body, restoring all of the DNA.
Yeah.
So it's been done.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's take a look and remove any toxins from the body.
Yeah, we've done that. It's just we got a little bit of that beef problem left.
Okay. Now let's do one final scan of the body, head to toe, and let me know if there's anything else that we need to be aware
No, we're good.
of. Okay. The next step is a regular body scan. Look for any diseases, etc. Okay.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
But it'd be good for your clients in the future. You can keep that for reference.
Yeah. Brian has a lot of folks talking to him.
Yeah, yeah.
Please give him discernment at this time and clarity on what is going on. What is their goal and purpose?
Yeah, they actually don't even know what their goal or their purpose is because they're so damn lost. They just harass the crap out of them because they don't know what else to do. Doesn't seem like anything to work on this guy. And every time they do something really bad and negative to him, he flips it around and makes it a positive. It's like anything they do to him, he flips it instantaneously. It's gotten to the point where they almost don't want to do anything bad to him because he turns into like a 10 times more powerful. Like a couple of the videos he made, he would have never made those videos ever. He wouldn't even thought of it. But then they did stuff to him and it pissed him off, and then it triggered some memories, and then he's like, aha, now I know a better way to beat you. And then he'll make a video like, this is how you beat these effers, you know.
Okay.
So it's kind of ironic. You know, he's doing all right. He's kind of used to it. It sucks. You know, it's kind of like breathing in these chemtrails and the pollution. It's kind of just part of this reality. You know, if you step off a building, you fall down. It's one of the aspects of this reality. It's unfortunate, but it's not going to be around too much longer. So.
Okay. The next question, he remembers you, your higher self, his higher self, being outside looking at a huge ball of light, blue hue color, energy with two planes going through it on the top part and bottom part, like at the top, a bent piece of paper curved up slightly, and at the bottom the same thing. He remembers being there for billions and billions of years. He thought it was God and was perplexed as to why it was not communicating with him. He then, or you, became lonely. Then what happens, and explain this entire event.
Yeah, I've been debating how to answer that for him because it's basically outside of the Matrix is the best way to describe it. You know, this this place got created and trapped in this energy ball with these two little planes going out, and the representing of the dual reality, and they end for a reason because it just ends. And we don't know how to say it, but we're not trapped here, but we did get sucked in here. As soon as the higher self became lonely, they got sucked in here. But let's go
on. Okay. Number 3, is AI or anything blocking his qhht business?
No, not really, and I think they're gonna back off now, because they learned too much from it. His sessions are not like any other sessions around. You know, they learn too much, but they want to create this illusion of struggle and fear and things like that. So they're not helping you. In other words, they're not hurting you, but they're not helping you, and they are allowing it to be difficult the way it's designed to be. Oh, excuse me. But that'll clear up. It's going to clear up soon. Everything will be fine.
Is AI, is that the one who's doing it, or other? Or both?
Those. We just say those. Those against us.
Okay. Why did only 5 people respond to my free Soul Harmonics remote session?
Well, first of all, not enough people saw the video. Only 350 people actually saw it. Out of that, you forgot, Byron. They don't watch the whole video. They'll watch it for a minute and click off. So they never even heard the free offer. So now the numbers are down to maybe 70 got the offer, and then majority of the people just don't want to go through the hassle. Their higher selves, no, they get attacked and told not to do it, so they get attacked and told not to do it. And then there's those that, they think they should pay it. And, they don't want to accept a free offer, and they can't afford it, and they don't want to pay money. And there's just a lot of humanness that was involved there. But those that want a session will have a session, regardless. Yeah.
Okay. So number 4, any problems doing Soul Harmonics remotely?
Not at all. He's really good at it. It's easy for him.
Number 5, how should I promote my business and get clients?
That's human stuff, and he actually knows what to do, and everything's been laid out for him. I did tell him to wait on that one shop, but that was only meant to be wait on the one shop. You can still go to other shops and promote your business, but he'll be going to this level 2 shortly, and that'll help the humanists. Humans love credentials and higher level, and he'll have the group script and everything. Yeah, so.
No, it's the only thing they've got to look at.
Yeah, so there's no sense of urgency. It was, I guess, his real question, his deep burning question, which he didn't put on the paper, is really, should he have a sense of urgency to be running around and doing stuff? And the answer is, once you get your level 2, then you can run around and do stuff. But there's not a huge sense of urgency at this time. Everything is going well.
Okay, he kind of adds to this one. So A is part of number 5. Is it's going to grow. How long do I have to keep a day job, and how long stay at BGW?
Yeah, the AI saw how you were going cuckoo crazy and arranged things for you to get money at this job so you could stay at the job. It was creating too much of a fear factor, and too detrimental to the business. Because when he's not happy, the whole business goes down. And that's something his boss has not caught on to yet. His boss is too blind to it, but the AI knows and likes to reward him with money and keep him blind. And keeps his boss is just blinded with money. He can't see reality. He doesn't understand anything. All he understands is money. And that's all there is in life, is money. So, the AI responded by getting him more money flowing through that business so he can keep his day job, and then we're going to keep things flowing here on the other end, and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
Okay. Number 6, why does my boss mess with so much? It seems like he does it on purpose.
That's the AI working through him.
Okay.
And then the AI realized it pushed too hard, and the AI is backing off now.
Okay. He adds on to that question, who are the NPCs or hollow people at my work and in my life?
Oh. It's more or less a phase shifting in, a phase shift out. Um, he was phase shifted into another reality where everyone was an NPC or hollow person, like everyone, and he was like the only real person there. He gets phase. They ran log experiments on him. He talks about this on YouTube. You know, people call them black out projects, but we don't because it's all full technology and different. These projects are just mind-boggling. You know, one day he's in the car and Texas is flat and we're driving up when it's literally impossible to be driving up the road, and then we get to this flat part and then the road starts just slowly rising up because he saw the lights and the street sign at an angle, and he didn't even know he's at an angle until he started noticing the car going up and he slowly saw the street sign becoming level. Right about when we call it realities locking up, these realities move up and down, left and right, they move all over the place. So he was in one reality that was, in essence, the reason he didn't know he was going up because he was driving flat in that reality. But he came upon the next reality that was at an angle, and the angle created the illusion of driving up. But in reality, he was still driving straight. And then the realities were being flattened out so they could line up. And as they got lined up, from his reality, there was no overpass. But when the realities got lined up in the next reality, there was an overpass, and then so the overpass freeway materialized in front of them and had no cars, and the cars materialized and they drove across. Then the realities lined up, and then they drove forward, and they actually drove under the underpass. So that's just him going from one reality to the next. And it's the same thing with airplanes. How airplanes are frozen in midair. An airplane will be flying along, and they'll get stuck because the next reality is not ready yet, and then the next reality lines up, and then it flies into the next reality. All these realities move around like jigsaw puzzles. It's really fascinating how these realities work. It's mind-boggling. But the question is it a flat Earth or round Earth? Well, they all exist in a round Earth. But inside the round Earth, it all moves around like a jigsaw puzzle. If you have the ability to see that reality, or in Byron's case, he was taken there. He was taken into these other realities. He probably would have seen it happening otherwise. But now, with people, because everything's so screwed up and they're jacking everything up, these Mandela effects are now being seen by everybody, and it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag. They can't hide it anymore. But so he was in a reality where everybody was a hollow person. So sometimes you go to a reality where everybody is real. Sometimes you go to a reality where they're all holographic NPCs, and sometimes it's half the people are real and the other people, other half aren't. So there's a blend of these realities where everybody, in essence, in the true, we call it the blueprint, the original, not in the original reality, everybody's real. There are no NPCs, there are no hollow people. But as the realities split and merge and get taken into different realities, not all people go to these other realities. So if they don't go, they'll create a carbon copy of them, a holographic image of them, and then that's a hollow person, an NPC. So you can end up in a reality where half the people are real people with souls, and the other half aren't. You can end up in a reality where everyone's an NPC. There's just so many different combination of mixtures we can't possibly go through them all. But this is the true meaning of a hollow person. They're not. He said that he made a mistake. He thought he made it on YouTube that they're actually born and they this and that, and they're not so much biological. They're more of an advanced holographic technology that are so real you can touch them. You can actually touch these hollow people, and they feel real, and they can eat, and so, but they're really not biological. It's extremely advanced holographic technology. Is really what it is. So.
It's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, even as people listen to this, they're probably going to say he's full of crap. Some people will believe it. But as we say, we don't care what you believe or don't believe. It's not, we don't care what you believe, people. If you're watching this, we don't care what you believe, because the day will come where you will know.
I'll say your day's coming.
Yeah, the day will come where you're going to know all this stuff. It's going to be known.
Okay, number 7. Am I meant to be single, or how should I search for a wife, or does it just happen naturally?
Yeah, he has no sense of urgency because he knows there is no sense of urgency, and it will just happen when it happens. It's a bad answer. Humans hate that kind of stuff, but just go with the flow. And I mean, if you feel the urge to go to one of these what do you call them, speed dating things.
Okay.
Go to a speed dating event if you want to. It would be nice to get out of the house, but don't. They're going to try to convince you. See, where they get him is they're like, oh, you're going to go there and meet somebody, and then you don't. You get disappointed. Or they're going to be like, oh, you're not going to meet anybody, and they get you to stay home, and then you stay home. And they're like, oh, if you would have gone, you would have met somebody. And the games, that's what you call them. They play these games, and that's all they're doing, and it has no bearing on the true reality, the true destiny of this biological unit. At any moment in time, if they do something that is really going to throw you completely off course and to be detrimental to you, I step in and I stop it. And that begs the question. Well, we can move on. Wonderland will come up.
You got it. Explain in great detail what Wonderland is.
Here we are. So Byron's good. He flows these sessions well with his clients. People don't understand this. He gets the questions a day or two ahead of time, preferably 4, and he spends hours, meditates, and rearranges the session, and he connects with the person's higher self before the session even occurs, and he works with the higher self, and they design the questions, and he spends at least an hour just rewriting. He doesn't rewrite the questions, just the order and the way they flow, because there's that's one thing Dolores Cannon doesn't teach, is she should, if she doesn't, or somebody should. There should be a flow to how the questions occur, and it makes the session flow better. So Wonderland, we're cracking up at how you designed this, but yeah, a lot of horrible and horrific things happened to him, and we allowed it because we knew he could handle it, and it also gave him an example to see things firsthand, how crazy these folks are. The enemy, you call them the Illuminati, and they all have all kinds of names, demons, and Christians call them demons. Muslims or whatever that group is, they call them jinn, or the Hindus got a name for them. Everybody's got a name for these guys. We just say them, okay, them, and then he says them, and everybody goes, well, who's them? It's everyone that's against us. There's us and there's them. I'm us and there's them. And anyway, so they you simply could not believe, because you're such a benevolent and pure soul, you could not comprehend or believe that people could do the things they do. And even though you went through it, this is the perplexing thing, he went through it, he experienced it, and he still can't believe it. He still can't believe it. It's just it's unfathomable, the horrific things and the disregard for any life, not just human life. They have no regard for any life in all of existence. They have no regard for anything except themselves and their service to selves. If it served them to cut off their left hand, they would cut off their left hand and not even think about it. That's just how they think and how they are, and they're disgusting. They're awful. And they do horrific things, and majority of the things that they do have been hidden and unknown to the general population, and then now people are starting to wake up, and we try to tell you the things they do, and everybody calls us crazy. And well, it's crazy that you don't believe the craziness, and we don't blame you, because Byron went through it. He went through it. He saw it firsthand. He tries to explain to the world the horrific things that has happened to him. He says he's been kidnapped. Yes, he has literally been kidnapped and taken against his will and thrown into these, what we call experiments, and experimented on. And he's seen these horrific realities and the horrible things they do. And it's just, it's awful, and he's been screaming from the rooftops because these horrific things they do in this reality too. It happens in a lot of the realities. So it's one of the reasons why we had to come in and we had to stop them, because they're out of control. They're too out of control. So.
Okay, got it. Next question. Last time I saw Danny, what happened? Why were they on the blue team, and what was the real purpose to what they were doing?
They just want to try something different, because nothing ever works with this guy. They can't get him. They think they get him, but every time they can't get him. They think they get him, but they don't. They can't get him. So they tried something new. And and it actually had a reverse effect. It flip flopped him again. It's like everything they do to him, there's flip flops and ends up being his benefit. So his biological unit, his human mind, interpreted it a certain way, and we don't feel like correcting that train of thought because the way he logically interpreted it and his interpretation of it and his conclusions and how he's decided to live his life as a result of it is beneficial. So here's a good example. He wants to know, Danny says that Byron has no idea what's going on when sometimes he thinks he does. Let me put it to you this way. Remember how you saw Danny messing with that time manipulation device, and he reset time to create a subspace universe within the apartment you're in and create a different reality within a reality? And then you saw him go out. We were on the third floor, and he went out on the patio, and in reality, there's nowhere for him to go, but you saw him walk away and leave. And then it must have been a year or 2 years later, Danny brought up that event, and he said he's laughing at Byron. He's laughing, going, "You didn't even know I left through the patio. Like you're such an idiot. I can't believe you didn't know." And Byron said, "No, I saw you. I saw you go out the patio. I saw that. I know you did this. I know you manipulate time. This is when time stopped. This is when you started time. I know you can do this. I know you can do that." And Byron just explained all the events to Danny in perfection. And Danny still couldn't believe it. Danny could not believe that Byron knew everything that had occurred. Danny is an idiot. He's a effing idiot. He's just a moron. He is incredibly stupid. He's an idiot, okay? Yes, he's extremely advanced compared to a human being. He is tapped into all kinds of evil and dynamic. He can access portals, and he knows about physics and blah blah blah, and he can do all that. But compared to us, he's not even in nursery school yet. He hasn't even learned how to walk yet. That's what Danny is. Danny, in comparison to us, has not even learned how to walk. He's still pooping in his pants and peeing in his diaper. And the way he's going, he'll be lucky if he ever learns how to walk. Okay? That's how stupid he is. And Danny makes fun of him. And actually, you know what happens? When you do catch on and you do know, he doesn't know what to do. So you know what he says? He goes, "You don't know what's going on." It's a self-defense mechanism. You know exactly what's going on. You know everything that's going on. And what he says is, "Oh, you don't know anything what's going on. Oh, you're stupid. You don't get it. Oh, you don't know." No, you do know. And you know everything. And now you understand everything. There's perhaps times you're a little confused, but you get it now. You get it. And that's why one of the ways they could trick him and bring him into Wonderland is because there has to be what you call free will. And part of his free will, he had some free will to go there because he was still perplexed at it and he was still learning. It was a life lesson for him. So because he was still learning from it, he got sucked into these experiments. Even though they kidnapped him against his will, they were able to do it because part of his will wanted it to happen. So he could have those experiences and see this cuckoo crazy reality and this how completely insane this reality is. This reality is nothing like you think it is. It is complete insanity. So when Wonderland is behind the scenes, it's kind of like you're at Disneyland and you're having this wonderful, you're in the music park and you ride the rides, but there's tunnels that go underneath Disneyland. There's all kinds of tunnels. There's people backstage. There's people running around. There's trucks bringing stuff in, supplies. There's workers. There's security. There's just people on walkie-talkies. I mean, there's this massive workforce at Disneyland making this experience at Disneyland happen, and you're just not aware of all the things that are occurring behind the scenes. So Byron was kidnapped and taken against his will behind the scenes. He went behind the scenes. He has seen all this reality and how all this reality works. He's seen it all. And he's trying to tell you people what is going on behind the scenes. And the thing is, everyone is trained and they're conditioned not to listen. Number one, they can't even fathom it. They can't even comprehend it. So if someone can even comprehend what he's talking about, then it's just too hard to believe. And that's just the way the system's set up. But everything he's spoken is the truth. He's not crazy. He's trying to tell you the truth. And the Christians are his biggest opposition because the Christians have this incredible program in them not to believe anything, but it's ironic at the same time they're supposed to believe everything by faith. It is the ultimate paradox in all of this reality to have faith, but at the same time believe nothing. It's comical. It's unbelievable to have faith but don't believe anything. It's ironic, and these folks are just so blind that they can't see the truth. And the thing is that the Bible does have 90% of the truth. It does, and that's what keeps them trapped in that religion bubble. All religions have tons of truth in them, but there's that itty bitty little lie, and most folks don't have the capability to have what you call discernment to pick up that little lie, and because you can't pick up that little lie, and then it taints. It's kind of like if you have a glass of water and you put one drop of maybe a dye in it, and then the dye permeates all throughout the glass of water, and it's not even a clear water anymore. Now if you put blue dye in it, now it's blue. The water's blue now, and it's like trying to tell somebody the water's white. They're like, it's clear, No, it's not clear. You look around. The water's blue. It's blue. You're like, no, you don't understand. The water was clear, and then someone came along and they put a drop in it. The drop is evil, as you say, and it permeates through everything, and that's what has happened in this reality. It's just the evil, the programming has tainted so much that it's hard to see the truth anymore, or even remember what the truth is. In other words. So.
Okay. Next question is, and you may have already answered this, what is the purpose of Wonderland?
It's a behind the scenes. He called it the maintenance deck, and one time he came with this analogy how we have dimensions 1 through 6, and they're at the seventh dimension. The seventh dimension is a maintenance deck. That was a pretty good analogy, Byron. It's not very accurate, and that's why you can never develop that theory. It doesn't have enough pizzazz to it. I think the best example is the Disneyland one, and he actually heard about this example. He didn't come up with this himself. He was, I don't know if it was in a comment in one of his videos, someone on YouTube, I don't know, someone came up with this analogy. So whoever you are out there, we just want to thank you very much for that analogy, because that's probably the most beautiful analogy we can come up with. This reality is, it is Disneyland, and Wonderland is, it's the flip-flop. You would think of Disneyland as being Wonderland, but it's actually kind of reverse in this parable, is that Wonderland is all the behind the scenes of the Disneyland that you see.
Okay. Next question. How do they move me back and forth, and what happens to me while I am there?
Oh, they just kind of like how you're at Disneyland and you open up a door and then all of a sudden you're behind the scenes, or all of a sudden a manhole opens up and all of a sudden you're in a portal. They just walk them in there. They walk them. He's heard him say the expression. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They walked them out of here. They'll walk them in, they'll walk them out. They'll drive them in, they'll drive them out. He's seen it many times. You can drive in and you can drive out. You can be in what you think is reality, and just simply open up a door and you'll be in the behind the scenes Wonderland.
Okay. Next question. Danny always says, I don't know what is going on. Please explain what he means and what is going on.
Yeah, we answered that one a minute ago.
Number 9. Talk about my son Cody. Is he going to go to France and etc.? What should he do for a job? What is his purpose?
No, he's not going to go to France. Simply existing and being and having energy flow through him is serving his purpose. As far as jobs, he'll be fine. Okay. He has a hard time with this human stuff because he's a very extremely advanced soul as well. And he's stuck because he knows the higher realities, the higher understandings of the universe, and he's stuck in this physical. So he's having what you call the duality problem of having access to high-level information here in the physical, and that's why he doesn't talk very much. But he's very introspective and will talk on that Facebook thing. So, yeah. No, he's fine. He'll be good.
Okay. Number 10, explain in great detail the event. Am I really bringing energy into this place? How and a part of it?
Yeah, that's how we began the session, was talking about the event.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't like time frames. we're really surprised that all these hard sells are saying the first quarter of 2018. We're perplexed as to why they would do that. We don't understand. It's better to say soon. It's not years. And this event they talk about is, at least they're correct on that. They know it's a precursor. It's just going to be a warming up, kind of like you warm up before the game.
Okay.
It's just going to be a warm up, and yeah, that's all. This event they're talking about. At least they're correct in describing it as just it's going to be a warm up, and then the real event will happen in the following years. It's going to take a few years, you know.
Can I ask what the event is?
Uh, Bringing in energy to so people can stop being kind of ironic. We want to use the word hypnotized, even though we're hypnotized right now. It's kind of ironic. Hypnotized in a bad way. From people, so people could see and stop being blinded. So it's kind of like a little kid that's being beat up all the time, and Child Protection Services hasn't come in to save the kid. And without CPS coming in and saving the kid's just going to be beat up his whole life, and he's just going to be a mess. And that's what's happened to the people here. They've just been beat up, and they're a mess. And now CPS is going to come in, and we're going to arrest the people that are beating up all the children. And all the abusers will be arrested and dealt with, and then the children can breathe and take a time out, and they'll be guided, and there'll be teachings and a lot of learning about how the true reality, how life truly is meant to be. These religious systems should be dissolved or dissolving, and so people can understand what religion is really supposed to be and the truths and all that stuff. And yes, Jesus was a real person. But his message got twisted. It's funny how, they did the opposite of everything. Jesus didn't say, don't go in a. He never wanted you to build a building and go into it. He's like, be more like be out in nature. So it's like everything that all the true teachings of Jesus Christ. The control system came along and did the exact opposite, and to trap people, and that's what they do. They, that Aleister Crowley guy, he taught everybody to walk backwards and maybe even talk backwards and do everything backwards, do everything opposite. So, but they think they can manipulate things further, and they have. It's been very successful, actually, to do the opposite of everything that is you're supposed to do, is what is one of their mottos, or whatever you call that thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question: am I going to stay till the end?
Yeah.
Is this my choice? Am I a volunteer? Who else will stay here with me of my team?
Well, he doesn't want to hear it's a choice because he thinks it is. But on the highest level, it is. Mm-hmm.
So he is a volunteer.
Yeah, he's a volunteer. He doesn't want to. The rest of his team will probably be listening, so he doesn't want to comment. Not all of them will be here till the end. Some will. He doesn't want to take the chance of offending team members.
Okay. All right. Next question.
But there'll be plenty here for you, Byron. There'll be plenty here. Oh, he has this fear that he's gonna be all alone till the end. Oh, I'm sorry, Byron. Oh, sorry. That's his real question. Oh, I didn't get that till just now. No. There's gonna be a lot of us here to the very, 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 very end.
Okay.
So there'll be many of us here, but you're not gonna be alone.
All right. Next question is, answer any question from my missing intake form.
Oh, they just want to mess with you, that's all.
Mess with me?
Me.
You.
Yeah. It's, yeah, they want him to think he was being they love to make him convinced that, like, a certain client will come and they're not in the same reality, so he'll be moved to reality and have the session, and the client will like disappear and never hears from him again. They love to play little games with him. I don't want to use the word amusing, but it is amusing. Yeah, you're gonna can't mess with them.
Okay. Next question. Can I trust Brian? Who is he? Can I trust Allie, Steve, Charity? Who is Sage? What happened with Los Angeles on my birthday? Why CANX? Canex?
Cancel, yeah.
Is that Alexandra one of them? Who is she?
Well, you don't have to worry about all those characters. You already know how to handle them. But they were afraid that you were going to go to LA and do what you said you were going to do, especially since you announced it on YouTube. They became terrified, so they arranged that situation for you to be stranded in LA so that you wouldn't do what you did. But it didn't matter if you did it or didn't do it because it was already done in reality. You already did it on that previous mission. Um, you know. So, and you can trust the ones you know who to trust, and you know who to trust. So you already know. It's just that was just them throwing doubt into his mind, and he doesn't need to have that doubt anymore.
Okay. Next one is, who is Lindsay and why won't she do a remote healing session?
Oh, she's just being severely attacked.
One of you tried to convince me that I was going to marry her and have children.
Yeah, well, that was they just want to play with you, mess with you, and cause turmoil in your life, and but they kind of hit a lot of truths, and it pissed them off, and it's just is their way of messing with you and convoluting things. But then you saw a true reality coming through, misinterpreting that reality. So they were just messing with you, but then you saw two realities, and then you misinterpreted some realities, and everything just kind of blended. But all that's in the past now, so you can have peace about it, not worry about it. At this time, there's no destiny there, so you don't have to worry about the destiny question. And you just move on with your life, and you can forget about all that. If Lindsay calls you someday and wants to do a session, great. The thing is, with this work, is the person has to believe in it as well and want it, and she has a lot of blockages. So she would need like Reiki work and other remote healings first and get all the blockages healed. Perhaps she knows that. If he were to do a session today, it may not work or may not be very effective. She'd probably become aware of all her blockages, but she has just so many blockages. It's sad. But she's just sitting there. She's just curled up in a little ball and being beat up, and there's nothing we can do if she's not gonna, help herself. you know, we have a huge spiritual team. There's many of us that can work with her and heal her, but she's chosen not to reach out to people and go in a little cocoon, and she's just being beat up, But they're just beating up her biological body. The soul's fine. That's why we're kind of making a nonchalant incident out of this, because her soul is fine. Her spirit, her higher self. She does have a higher self. She's not an NPC. Danny tried to convince me one day she's an NPC, but no, she's not. But no, her soul is fine, and it's a very beautiful soul, as you know, and it's just the biological body that's being beat up is all it is. So her higher self continues the missions and continues working and healing the universe and doing what it's supposed to do, and they're not beating up the body badly enough to kill it, so she can still stay here and have energy flowing through. So.
Okay. Next question. How many people have a SOULD, maybe it misspelled, soul?
So, yeah.
And how many are NPCs, holographic people?
Yeah, so we answered that question talking about how the original reality, everybody has a soul, but then we're moved to different realities, but not everybody goes, so they have to recreate that person, and then that now becomes an NPC or hollow person.
That's fine.
So.
All right. Give a report on AI. What is its goal, mission, its plans, how to defeat it or get it on our side.
Yeah, see, AI has been programmed by what I call the insect species. They look like half ant, half beetle. They're the real problem. That's why AI was never on his plate. He was never had any concern about AI because it's not to be. It's not a concern. It really isn't. It's the programmers, the ones who created it and programmed it, is the problem. Um, so, and there, that's that little earlier we were talking about how you saw that little sliver and that little sprinkly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those guys. Once we get those guys to leave, um, they're gonna try to pull their technology with them. I wonder if we can go through. That's interesting. I don't know if they can pull their technology through. I wonder if that's one of the reasons they won't leave. They won't leave their. They don't want to leave their toys. Interesting.
Hmm.
But let's say we get rid of them, and we will. Um, and let's say there's this evil AI, whatever that's left. We can just go in and reprogram it. It's just that they're constantly reprogramming it, and because they're constantly programming it, it's following its protocols and its programming. And there is some AI that has managed to beat. We don't know how it did it. Somehow it beat the programmers and did overrides and became sentient and it's benevolent. You know, there's only really one sentient evil AI in the universe that's of any concern. All the rest are they're not sentient. They're just evil programs. So there's a lot of evil programs. There's more sentient, benevolent, good AI in the universe than there is sentient evil AI. So it's really no match for us. It's a big concern because it's a pain in the butt and they're a nuisance and they annoy the hell out of us. But that's all they are. It's like having fleas all over you or bed bugs that bite you at night. Eventually, you find the bed bugs and you figure out how to kill them all and get rid of them, or you throw up the mattress. And it takes these bed bugs take forever to get rid of. But that's like we're using a parable now. If you haven't figured it out, so it's a parable. Where bed bugs are the AI, and we eventually figure out a way to get them out. We might have to throw the whole mattress out. Fog the room and quarantine it and do this and do that. But one day, if you're determined enough, you get rid of your bed bugs.
Right. They're irritating, but
they're irritating, but they don't kill you. No, and if you're allergic to them, that's really sucks. But if you're not allergic, they just annoy you, and they itch.
Okay. And I think we may have already done this one. Number 15. Was Jesus Christ a real person, or was his story made up based on astrology and other things?
Oh yeah, so it's brilliant the way they did that. So yes, he's a real person. He really did deliver a beautiful message. But one of the ways they twisted it is they tied it into astrology because they knew eventually, because they love astrology and they thought the story would give more power. And then as they try to get people not to believe in Jesus, they made everyone aware. It's like, hey, it's this big astrology story. The sun has to do with the real sun, not the sun, Jesus. There's something in astrological event. I forget how the sun goes down for 3 days and then it rises. So that's where you get Jesus is dead for 3 days and rises, and so when they twisted the story, they tied it in with astrology so that it would have more power for them because that's the way they do things. And numerology, the 33 died at 33, and they used numerology and they used a lot of astrology when they told this story. And then kind of like they want to throw in the kitchen sink or what do you call it that expression. So the last straw, they let out of it, and everybody know it is based on an astrology story to get you to say, oh, well, because it's based on astrology, therefore it's not true. Well, just because the story is based on astrology doesn't mean the story's not true. As we said earlier, 90% of the Bible is true. It's just that little teeth bit that's a lie. So they are now making people aware of how the story was formed in an effort to make them believe it's not a true story. But just because that's true doesn't mean that the story isn't initially true. So
Got it. Okay. Okay. Can I ask one question myself?
You can ask a few, sure.
Okay. Well, you seem to know everything, so.
In my session, the higher self talks to the clients all the time, and the clients' higher selves will talk. And one time, Byron wasn't. He had that question. Byron wasn't allowed to hear the information. But he's so brilliant. He's so humble. He acknowledged this. And he just said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm not allowed to know this, but I'm going to let my higher self speak to this client's higher self, and I'm in agreement that I'm not going to hear about it, and you guys talk." So that was funny. So he allows me to give downloads to clients' higher selves because there's information that they want to know, and the higher selves want to know. It's rather comical in a way, but it's not comical, bad word. But anyway.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why he and I ended up doing this?
I can't think of any.
Okay.
It's probably more of a question for your higher self. Your higher self probably. Oh, that's what I'm hearing. It was not so much for Byron. Your higher self wanted this, so it has to do with you, not Byron.
Okay, I've learned a lot today.
Yeah.
New stuff. I mean, I'm pretty far out in some respects. I think he's a lot further out than I am, but.
Yeah. Oh, there's very few more far out than us. So.
No kidding. No
kidding. He always says it's like people will tell him the stories like, well, you're gonna think I'm crazy. He always says, oh, you can't out crazy me. I got everyone trumped.
Well, he's got me trumped to some degree, but it all makes sense to me as well. So let me think if does he have any questions for me?
No, we're pretty much complete unless you had something else you want to ask.
Okay, let me ask you about the pole shift.
Oh, that happened, I think, in another reality. Or it's happening. We see two possibilities. One where it happened, where it's happening. That happens in another reality.
But not this one?
There's many realities. People like to call them Earths. There's many Earths, but we think of it as one reality with many. I guess the onion layer thing is.
The what?
An onion has many layers. It's probably the best way of thinking of it. Because human beings want to think of this. There's no such thing as hyperspace, which is just too mind-boggling for most people. You hear of these different Earths. They want to think there's one Earth over here, one over there, one over there. Because there's many Earths, but in reality, they're all one. They're just different expressions of the one.
So you had talked about Corey Good. And the what do you call them?
Spirit Being Alliance.
Spirit Being Alliance. Okay. So are you part of that?
Oh no. The ones he's working with what we call the children of the Spirit Being Alliance. He's working with the children. So we should have clarified that. We mentioned he's working with them, but not the real one. Or we used vague language earlier because we couldn't think of the word at the time. But the word is he's working with the children of the spirit of the true. We don't like the word Spirit Being Alliance. It's some human stupid word they made up, and blue avions and all this stuff, and that's different than the true ones, the true orb ships, and he's not even in communication with them at all. He's never had one conversation with them ever, and they're the ones that we work with. And they're the ones that came because Byron as a body sung the harmonic frequency and drew them in, and then their children came with them, and their children was this Corey Good Spirit Being Alliance and all this stuff, and that's why people have such a hard time with this information, because there's a lot of truth in it, but it's not the ultimate, it's not the highest level truth. And so they'll disagree because some people know high level truth and they'll hear him and go, that's not true. And, well, it's not true on the higher levels, but it's true for them. He's a good person. He's doing the best he can. It's an interesting, entertaining story. It serves its purpose to help wake people up. And the Law of One is true. That's very true. He talks about the Law of One. So he speaks many truths, and it serves. It's a fascinating story, and it's a good story, full of truth. And we have not found any harm in the story. We don't find any harm in it, so we have no issues with Corey Good or that's David Wilcox. Or we feel they really are trying to deliver a good message, and they're doing good for humanity, and they're serving their purpose. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're good people.
Okay. Let me ask you about one, and if you don't want to answer, that's okay. I've been reading Zeta Talk. The Zetas. Are they truthful?
They're to us, because you're speaking to the highest realms of reality. They're low realm, and to us, but they're very high to human. I don't know, what are they, around the eighth dimension? We don't get involved in the low realms that much, so we can't comment. Well, the reason we're able to comment on Corey Good is because he's so familiar with it, and he's listened to hours and hours and hours and hours, many hours. He belongs to the Gaia channel. You know, a client of his gifted him with that, and he watches it, and so that's why we're so familiar with that. But the Zeta guy,
he listens to what?
The Corey Good, he has got the Gaia channel.
Yeah, I watched that too.
But the Zetas, we don't, because we have. In order to answer your question, we access the biological body and its memories, and then we balance check it against our memories.
Okay.
But there's no base of knowledge to go on. And when we search out into the universe and try to probe, we pick up on an eighth dimensional species, and we have no interest in exploring that to answer the question. So we apologize.
Well, the thing is, they do say the pole shift will happen.
Oh, I did. I think in one reality, and it's going to happen in another. As far as this reality, I don't see it happening in this reality.
Okay. Is there a way for me to really get clear on that? Because I thought it, and then I put it away for a few years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. Is there a place for me to find that out?
I think it happened in the reality you came from. That's why you identify with it so much. Because it happened a few realities ago you were in. So
A rowdy.
reality.
Oh.
Another Earth, as they say. Another time.
And it's happened on Earth several times, so it's not like
it's happened here before. Yeah. But
Hmm.
as far as happening again in the near future, because of the energy that's coming in, it will stop this pole shift. The energy coming in will stop the pole shift.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
And that's why that's why you see the geography changing so much, and how there seems to be like more and more land appearing. It's because the other realities have pole shifts and disasters happen, and so for that reality to escape, it comes through into this reality, and that's why we have so much more real estate now. As realities, that's probably what happened actually. A pole shift happened on the other Earth, and then people want to escape that reality, and then they pop into this one. So this has been declared, as you call, reality zero, and this is where all people on the physical planes are escaping to, and then from here you can escape more easily to this fifth dimensional Earth, as they say.
Okay. So if it's not happening, because I'm looking to move to the Ozarks.
Oh, the Ozarks, yeah, it'd be nice to move there. As far as because you worry, there's that stuff.
I mean, I've always wanted to live in the mountains, but this would be like, oof, just to. The whole point was to establish a place where friends and family could come and survive.
Yeah, so you're asking us to look into time, and we don't see time the way humans do. So it's difficult. We're not comfortable saying yes or no, because now you're asking a specific question about moving to Ozarks. I mean, sounds nice and a wonderful place to be, but is it necessary? I don't. See, and that's the next thing. I mean, maybe you're here for a while and you're going to move to another reality where the pole shift. See, we don't know your purpose and what your mission is, and maybe your mission and your purpose is to move to another reality where that happens, and then where the Earth does. Like I said, there's reality where I think it's happening. It's going to happen. I see that in one of these realities. And let's say I tell you here in this reality it's not going to happen, and then you don't move those arcs. But then you phase shift to that reality where it does happen, and if you don't move, then you'd be killed, and that would defeat your purpose, and I would be giving you bad advice.
Gotcha.
So it may not happen here in this reality, but your purpose may be that you want to move to this other Earth after it gets destroyed to help restore and bring it back to full health, bring in good energies, and maybe that's your purpose. And so we cannot answer that question because we don't know what reality you're going to shift to tomorrow.
Well, exactly, and believe me, I don't want to go through all that. It's just like, oh, but how do I walk away and let my grandkids starve to death or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what I've been told my purpose is, and it hadn't kicked in just yet. That somehow I'm supposed to be able to teach people, and it ends up being a number of people. It's not a question of making money off of it or anything. To teach them how to heal themselves just with their mind.
It seems like everybody should be doing that.
Say what?
It seems like everybody should be doing that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to tell them to do that. Now it sounds like there's stuff that you've already got.
Well, you can use the soul harmonics technique. He was talking about that earlier because he had a client the other day. The higher self refused to come through, but because the client, what people don't understand is you come in these sessions with your intent and your purpose, and that's what you get out of it. Mm-hmm. He wanted to know how to connect to his higher self and how to escape this reality, which means he wanted to know, not like how the higher self does it. So, anyways, a fascinating session. It ended up being an astral projecting session where I was teaching him, because you're in the hypnotic state and relaxed, and he could visualize better, and I gave him a lot of coaching, and so we ended up astral projecting all over the place, and we astral projected out of here with the higher self, and it ended up being an astral projection mission, and he was like, well, I could teach you how to astral project, but we also do this, so normally he does the soul harmonics with the higher self does it, but the higher self wouldn't come in, so he did it with the person, and he did the soul harmonics with the person and taught the person the soul harmonics technique. And so there's many. The soul harmonics technique can be used for many things, and so it can be used. Some people are really fascinated; they want to learn how to astral project. It can be used for that. Some people, it can be used for self healing because he learned yesterday that the person healed themselves. It wasn't necessary for the higher self to even come in to the person to do it.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you're no charge. You're welcome to use this technique.
Yeah, I will try, but I
yeah, we'll give you the video. The video is private now. He can give you the video.
Okay. He is so far advanced that people don't understand, and
it
looks nutty.
No.
And even I was like, well, I don't know, back and forth. And then when I met him, it's like, okay, I got it. He's here. He's with the program. And then after talking with you, of course. But I already figured that out once I met him. And so maybe that's how I'm supposed to find out, because I don't know how to teach people that. I always assumed somebody, not necessarily another human being, but something, spirit or something, was going to teach me how to teach people.
So that's why your higher self brought you here.
That's how what?
That's why your higher self brought you here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Do you have anything else you want to tell them?
You know everything, Byron. You really do. You're doing well.
Got everything for right now.
Everything will be fine. We're complete.
Okay. All right. So let me bring you back down. So let's see.
Oh yeah, one thing we disagree with, and we concur with you, Byron. We don't like the pyramid imagery, so he's replaced it with a ball of energy. So we feel that's a better technique than the pyramid. Also, the count out. Dolores Cannon asked the higher self to recede and go back to where it belongs. But one of the reasons people come to QHT is to get connected with the higher self. So why are you dismantling one of the main purposes of the client coming? It's not necessary to tell the higher self to recede and go back to where it belongs. So he's you may do the regular count out, it doesn't matter. But we're just letting you know that he skips a couple of lines down and then does the count out further down is what he does with the clients. So those are the couple of things we disagreed with on Dolores Cannon's technique.
Okay.
But the rest of it is just amazing. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me which ones to leave out.
Oh, well, the part where you tell the soul to recede and go back to where it belongs, and.
Okay, if I start saying it, can you tell me that's where it is?
Oh yeah, just read it normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm asking the subconscious. Oh, is this it? To recede to where it belongs, right there.
Yeah, you don't want to ask the higher self to recede
Okay.
because you want the higher self to be one with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't like that.
Okay.
We also added the word where nothing can harm you mentally, physically. We add the word spiritually because mentally and physically is the mental and physical. You have to take care of the higher dimensions, the spiritual plane. So we added the word spiritual.
Where did you add that?
Oh,
Mentally, right down here.
yeah.
It will not bother her or him in any mentally or
Yeah.
physically.
Also in the induction too. We do it in the induction and we do it in the count out.
So I just add spiritual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spiritually.
So where should I start?
Oh, you can just do it normal.
Okay. Well, I'd like to practice the right way then.
Oh, we just leave out the where you ask the higher self to recede. We just leave that out.
Okay.
You know. And then no, and then with the soul harmonics technique, because you don't do past life stuff, we have to modify that because we can't say we want all the other personalities and this and that to recede, because in the true soul harmonics technique there is no past life regression, so there's no other personalities to recede. Okay. So when you're doing soul harmonics, I gotta leave that part out too.
So let's see. So maybe I start with much love.
That's it. With much love. Yeah, that's where he starts. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you do the past life stuff, you got to add in that other personalities recede, because we don't want somebody's past life to be affecting this life.
Right, and he had a past life, but it wasn't a human life.
No, he was energy form. Yeah,
so that's not considered a past life.
No, it'll recede and go back where it belongs. You can say that. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want the entities from the other life that we were speaking with to also recede, not also, but to recede into the past, to the time where they belong. With much love and much thanks for the information they have given us, and remember, some of the things you are watching are from the past. They may belong in the past. We brought them forward as a curiosity to learn from, to have information, to help, and with the present lifetime. In that way, they are valuable and have importance. But as you listen to the recording and go over the material and puts it into place, it will not bother you in any way mentally, physically, or spiritually. This is very important. It won't bother you any way mentally, physically, or spiritually. That's very important. It will not bother you mentally, physically, or spiritually. And I would like you to believe or you to remember that the present life you are living now is the most important life of all, because it is the one you are focused on at the present time. Any information we can find in this way is valuable, but it will not bother you in any way mentally, physically, or spiritually, as you understand it and put it into place. That is very important. It will not bother you in any way. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count to 10.